Welcome back, ladies, to another episode of Truth Talk. Last week we started with a discussion on Psalm 91 and being hidden in the secret place, and we just stayed right here in the studio and carried on with our discussion concerning that. So yes, I just want to welcome you. I am Linda, your host, and this is Pastor Karen. Welcome.
Linda. Thank you.
And Chantal.
Welcome. To myself.
Welcome to yourself. And Bianca.
Hello, Linda.
Hello, thank you for being here with me. And I just love spending time with you guys here on set. It's awesome.
We have great fun.
So we're going to go right back into the Word of God. So I hope you've got your Bibles and your notebooks ready. And y'all make notes. And like I said in the previous program, make it your own. We discussed the secret place and how to access the secret place and what the secret place is. But once again, it can be something that you hear in the moment and it sounds good. But if you don't go and spend time on your own in the Word, in the presence of God, just running back to that first love of who He is, then you're going to miss it. You can hear us, you can see us. I had this example with the children once before we go to passage 2, is that if it rains, if it's here where we are sitting and it starts to rain, and it rains on us, we can feel it, and you are sitting on that side, you see the rain, you can smell the rain, you know what rain feels like, but we are getting wet and you are sitting on the other side of the rain. You can see it. You can see what God is doing in our lives. You can see the glory of God on our lives. You can see how we are growing, how we are being joyful. But if you don't step out of your comfort zone and partake and step into the rain where you can actually feel it, it will not become a reality in your life. So I want to challenge you to don't just take what we are saying and let it make you feel good, but go back into the Word after you've watched the program. Just go back into the Word and ask God to reveal to you what He has been revealing to us.
Amen.
Because like we said last week, this is not just for certain people. Yes. It is for everybody who is willing to lay down their lives, to die to self, to truly just fall in love with Jesus all over again. Yes. Because that is the place that we will access. So we're going to go right into verse 2, where it says the following. Psalm 91 verse 2. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, on Him I lean and rely, and in Him I confidently trust. We so easily read that passage, but before I share, I want to know, because when I read this scripture, and when I went into a deep study of Psalm 91, when I read that, God said to me, or Abba Father said to me, do you really trust me? When I read it. And I said, yes, Lord, I do. And then He started challenging me. So, Pastor Karen, what is trust to you? To trust Him, confidently trust Him.
It's rather difficult because it is easy to say, yes, Lord, I trust you.
Yes.
But when it comes to things that are really very close to your heart, for example, your children or your husband or your wife, suddenly it changes the dynamic.
Yes.
And you are just so worried that something will happen or not happen, or they will not be saved, or it's just so close to your heart that then you have to make a decision. And I make that decision almost every day.
Yes.
Because I am much better with that. I am much better with that. I find myself, I'm much calmer, and I really am learning to trust Him. I'm learning that I can trust Him with a parking space and the salvation of my child.
Yes, that's true.
From the basic mundane
that's true.
to the thing that is the most precious in your life. The one thing that you will give your life almost, those kinds of things, to be able to trust Him with that. And be calm and confident and know, because trusting is a knowing.
Yes.
Is a knowing that He is actually in control of this situation. We seem to want to take it out of His hands every now and then, because we seem to think maybe that we have the answers of how He should do it. But we've seen in our lives, all of our lives, how many times He has done things way beyond what we would ever even have thought of, asked for. So we cannot think of God with our own perspective. and our own way of thinking and what we know, we can't limit him. But it is a challenge, and it is something that I think personally I grow into. I get to know him. I get to know him. It's like, okay, he came through there, but then he can come through there, and then he does, and I just learn to trust him. I learn to be more confident in him. But it's not him, it's me.
Yes.
The problem is with me, not with him. The problem is how much do I really, really trust him? And I can say now, Linda, that I'm in a very peaceful state. I'm peaceful about this. So I think I've learned my lesson well, that he is trustworthy. And I love him for that.
The more you access the secret place, not access, we want to abide. The more you abide in that secret place, like we've described, into his arms, you can hear his heartbeat for your children. So that takes away the fear and the worry and the concern, and it makes it easier to trust him.
And it takes the load off your shoulders.
Yes.
Because after a while you really carry a heavy load, and it influences your relationship with him, because he is there standing with his arms around you and almost like, why can't you just trust me?
Yes.
It's simple, but it's profound.
Yes.
If you get it.
Chantal, what I see in people is a trusting matter is because they don't know the heart of the Father. What will you say?
Linda, what Pastor Karen said is so profound, because one of the things that I agree with is you start from the parking space to your children, to your marriage. But I want to point you to two things. As Psalms 91 verse 1 starts with, ye who, verse 2, I will say of the Lord. Which means now I have a personal encounter with God. And the thing is, I will say of the Lord, He's my refuge and He's my fortress. Which means it doesn't matter what the outcome is. I know He's got my best interest at heart. Whether it comes out the way I want it to come out or not.
Or thought it
or
should.
think it should. I will say of the Lord, He's my refuge and He's my strength. He's my ever-present help. So what He says is, I know today that He's my rock and He's my defense. So I know for a fact that the one who I go into, dwell into, doesn't have anything but the best.
That's true.
For me
in store or in mind. He has your bestest interests in mind.
Yeah.
And a
on
fortress,
his heart.
if you think of a fortress, it's a wall that's built around the city.
A very tall wall.
And there's watchmen on the wall, there's people, the enemy can't just come in. So when you dwell in the secret place, He becomes your refuge, your fortress, the God in whom I can trust. So when we access the secret place, I mean the scripture is in, we're going to get to the other parts just now, but the first condition or the first request of the Father is He who abides.
Yes.
And then when you abide, I will say of the Lord, He's my refuge, my fortress,
Because
my
then
God
you're
in
not
whom I
looking
trust.
at Him anymore, you're
You're
looking
looking
from
from.
Him
Yes,
outwards.
yes.
I will,
Yes.
the focus, the perspective has changed.
Linda said in our previous episode, she said, this is not a place for certain people. His arms are open for everybody.
Yes.
So He who, which means everybody has the ability to go into the secret place, but not everybody make the choice to go into the secret place. And that's
dwell.
and dwell. And this is why I said, now that I've done that, I will say of the Lord.
Now that I've seen Him,
Now, because
Now
your
that I've
perspective
seen Him,
changes.
I see who
your
He is.
perspective changes.
Yeah.
Bianca?
And I just want to say, out of a trust point, I think someone who grew up in a difficult or in a difficult circumstances in a difficult house. Not saying that our parents are bad. Please don't get me wrong. I love my parents. I honor them, everything. But I think a person who grew up in difficult and doesn't know the real, that didn't have a good father-daughter relationship, I think those people struggle to trust God sometimes.
That's true.
So
that's true.
they have to learn to trust God, and they have to get healing, and then through the healing they'll learn to
Where will
trust
they
God
get healing?
through the Word.
And
Be transformed, spending time with
spending
Him.
time and
Yeah.
making that decision.
Yeah. And as soon as you speak to God and God shows you, listen, my daughter, I can do this for you, then you start building that relationship, and your perspective of who God the Father, Abba Father is, changes. Because also if that perspective don't change, then you're still an orphan, you're not a son or a daughter.
Yeah, and while we are talking now, what I'm seeing is the hand of the Father stretching out and a heart, a broken heart beating in his hand.
Yeah.
And you know what? And maybe this is talking to somebody out there, that if you make that decision, because I can feel what the Father is feeling. Remember, this program is all about drawing us back to the heart of the Father, not God, not a God, or let's call it a God, but the heart of the Father, who God is as a Father. And most of us have got children, and I mean, what we will do for our children, God is the same and even more. The word says, if you ask for bread, who will give you
stone?
stone?
Child asks for bread. Who?
And
why?
how
He
much
would never
more?
give him a stone.
How much more will He do for us?
I know.
But what I'm seeing is His hand being stretched out with this broken, bleeding heart in His hand, and all He's asking is, "Come and abide with me."
Yes.
It's available to everybody. Your choice has to be, "Lord, I surrender my brokenness into your hand," because none of us was whole the first time we came to the Father.
We got to Christ.
So you can trust Him with the brokenness and just surrender. "Lord, I surrender my brokenness into your loving hands." And then you access that place, and then you will start saying of the Lord, "He's my refuge, my fortress, the God in whom I can trust." I mean, we've all been through challenges where we had to surrender. And that was the first thing that God said to me when I read that piece. Justin was very small, where God said to me, "Do you really trust me?" I said, "Yes, Lord, I do. Because in many areas I do trust Him." He said to me, "Then give me your son." And I sat there on the bed. He was still in school before we started homeschool. He was 4 years old. And I cried for 2 hours, where I will go in, just see how I lay him down before God, and then I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I cried and until eventually I got so much peace that He's better there. I mean, I'm not saying we must give our children away. That's not what we are saying.
No, of course not. But I'm thinking
It's just
we
need to surrender. We need to know that
give
if
back
we
what
are
He gave
there,
you.
not there, yes, if we are not there, He will take better care of them than what we can. If He's in school and I'm at home and things happen, He's there continuously. But out of fear, my situation, because of things that happened to me as a child and feeling abandoned and all that, I wanted to raise my child out of that fear instead of out of the secret place. Because in the end, we're going to get to ruling and reigning and living our lives out of the secret place.
Amen.
So Pastor Karen, you said you were thinking of Hannah.
I was thinking of Hannah when we discussed Hannah last season, of how desperate she was for a child.
Yes.
And then she gave that firstborn child. And it's symbolic of what God has done for us. He gave His son. And how she trusted Him so much that she gave her son back to Him. But what I was also thinking, Linda, is when we're baby Christians, He's so sweet to us.
Yes.
And he just cuddles us, and the Holy Spirit just, with cotton wool, and then suddenly He just disappears. And now suddenly it's like a little bird in a nest. You get fed and it's so beautiful and everything comfy, and then suddenly the mother just flies away. And then this little bird needs to start waiting, needs to start trusting that mom will come back, needs to start waiting for the food, and so dependent. And then in a stage, the mother just kicks you out the nest, and then you need to fly. And I think we need to also realize that there are certain stages and certain, I know seasons, but there are certain stages in your relationship with Him as well. And the trust definitely comes after you've learned a little bit more of His character.
And he will first ask you, "Trust me that I will provide for you," or "Trust me with your children," or "Trust me." He'll take it piece by piece by piece.
He will not do the big stuff in the beginning.
Yes.
He will do the little things in the beginning, and then He trains you.
He
draws you closer to Him. I find Him so amazing, so fascinating, and we will never understand
filled with
the deepness
love,
of His love.
the love of the Father.
The one thing that I look at Psalms 91, it's a psalm and Linda's gonna take us further down. But I just want to say this because the psalm is so deep and it's intimate with you as a person. And the one thing that I realized about Psalms 91 is there is an attack on your life. There is a demonic force that wants to derail you and take you out and wants to confuse you not to reach your destination in God. And David writes and he says, nor you shall not be afraid, verse 5, of the terror of the night, nor the arrow, the evil plots, and the slanders of the wicked that flies by night, nor the pestilence that stalks in darkness, nor of the destruction and the sudden death that surprise and lay waste at noonday. What he says is, there is so many things that are laying on my road, wanting to take me out, take out my marriage, take out my dreams, take out my prayer life, take out my calling, take out my worship, take out what is of value to me. But he makes a note to say, I will say of the Lord, he's my refuge. So when all of this will come our path, but once you've been in the secret place, then all of this can come, because now I know whatever you do, I know my God is a refuge and my strength. He's an ever-present help in the times of trouble. So I want to say to the ladies and the people who's watching us, get to know God as the Father of because a father is actually a protector.
That's right.
Yes, he's supposed to be the protector.
That is what he is. And while you were saying, Bianca started this by saying, sometimes you've never had that father love, not because your father is a bad man, just because maybe he never had that in his life. So it's a transformation, it's a generational thing. And then you said you saw this broken heart in the hand of the father. You know what? Jesus wants us to come broken, lost, and disturbed.
Exactly.
He doesn't want you to figure it out.
No.
He doesn't want you to try to work this out. He wants you broken because he knows how to fix you.
Exactly. He's the pot and you the clay.
You are the clay. And sometimes we want to come, sometimes we say, like Pastor Karen was saying last week, that I want to now try to figure out how I'm going to stop smoking. You can't.
No, you can't. He's gonna change you from the inside.
Yes.
And we don't focus on the problem. We focus on the bigger picture, which is the love of the Father for us.
But I think here it starts with your positioning.
Yes.
There's a reason why it starts with your positioning, because look out, trouble is brewing, and stuff is gonna not be happy. Stuff is gonna happen. And so, but if you are positioned, so that's why it starts there, and then I think we're going to go on with that. But then you will be in a position to be able to handle whatever's going to come your way. But you can choose not to be there.
Yes.
The stuff is going to happen anyway.
Uh-huh.
Stuff is going to happen anyway.
It's going to happen anyway, but it's from what position I'm going to get this thing.
That's exactly.
I like that.
And that is why we're in this season where the Father is drawing us back into the secret place, because He wants to position us for what is coming.
And He knows what's coming.
He knows what's
coming. And He
coming.
also said, Jesus said, in this life you will have trouble, but be of
good cheer,
because I have overcome.
The devil has no respect for your marriage, for your children. He doesn't have respect for your prayer life. He doesn't have respect for your worship.
He doesn't have respect for you.
He doesn't have respect for you, period. No, you say, oh, but you girls, you've got it together. Oh, really? Really? We may look together, but let me tell you something. When these lights goes off, all hell breaks loose 9 out of 10 times. But it's from which position we are fighting that makes us victorious every time, because we're not fighting out of ourselves. We're fighting out of the presence, out of Christ.
But then we know where to run to. We know where to run to, where we will find the shadow of His wings. When we run out and we get hurt, we can run right back, and He will be waiting for us.
But we don't want to run anymore, we want to abide.
Yes.
So we want to position ourselves in the abiding, because I think for very long Bianca, we've been running to and fro into His presence and out of His presence. I did it. I don't know about you guys. Then I run out and I go and try things myself, and then I get tired and then I move back. I want to get to that place, and I know that's the heart of the Father, to draw us back into position where we do
your rightful position
out of this place.
I know, but even when you're there, things are going to happen. You're going to be challenged, and you will have to just know who you
Yes,
are,
and
just
where you are.
because you do abide there. But things are going to go wrong, and it's going to
But we're
happen.
going to get there. We're going to get to that
I know
point.
we're going to get there. Let's just wait for that.
And Linda, for the people that are finding it difficult to trust God, start out with the little things, with a small thing. Because I saw in my own life, we first started, okay, maybe you've got your own business. Okay, now the salary bill is maybe 100,000. Okay, 3 years down the line, it's 300,000. Now you have to you have to really trust Him for it. So you really have to trust Him, and He's such a gentle Father. He will show you, listen, my daughter, you can trust me, and then that relationship builds. Because I just want to put the question out there: if you don't trust God, how can He accomplish what He needs to accomplish through you?
Yeah, if we don't trust Him. Now, our God did it with me, and for everybody it's going to be different. I always use this example because it challenges. I love to be challenged because then I grow. So I don't take offense, I challenge. And when God worked with me a few years ago through this, He challenged Quentin and I to cancel our policies, to cancel our insurance, to cancel our medical aid. Okay, that's a big step. But what I want to say in that is we did it because I trust Him. And what He said to me is that, are you trusting me to protect you, or are you trusting, just in case in the back mind of your head, this is just an example, that if something should happen, that there's cover for this and this and this. Who's covering
you
me?
actually do still have a little tiny
got a
back
backup.
door somewhere.
So God is bringing us to a point where He wants us to trust Him completely. And so many examples, but there's one example I will never forget. I dropped Justin off. I took him to a class that he had to attend, and the girls and I were going to go and have a milkshake. And we stopped at a four-way crossing at a robot, the two of us. Michaela was very small, and she unclipped the safety belt, and the light was red. And when I turned around, because Kirsten was sleeping, to see what she was doing, I saw a taxi coming at us at such a speed I cannot explain. It was seconds. The taxi was in our line. There was a bakkie standing right next to us, about a meter apart. We were standing at a red light. Within seconds, an accident happened in front of my eyes, and not one piece of glass touched us. Not one piece of glass touched us. We remained standing at the four-way crossing. This whole accident right here next to me happened, right in front of me. The cars were spinning. I was so shaken, I can't explain it to you. I got out, I gave my name because I was a witness. It should have been us.
Yeah.
And then that night when I got home, it was such an impact. The taxi was pushed right up in front. I don't think the people made it in that accident. But that night when I got home, Quentin was on his way to India. I couldn't speak to him. And then God showed me. At that moment, because I had a dream, the angel's wings came, and it formed like a dome. Not even a piece of glass touched our car that day.
Wow.
And then God said to me, if you trust me, I will protect you. I will protect you. When the enemy comes, and we're going to get to that, I will give my angels charge over you.
Yes.
And that is where God is drawing us into, because there will come a time where the hospitals won't be sufficient anymore, or there will come a time where we need to trust Him. And I know that challenges people. It does.
It does.
It does challenge people, but that's how He worked with us. He's going to work with everybody in a different way. But I've seen time and time again, our time is up. I've seen time and time again how God steps in, and He protects, and He provides, and He covers us. So I want to challenge you, go. As our time is up, we need to close, and we're going to carry on next week. But go and search your heart and ask God, where are the areas in your heart that you need to surrender? It might be a small part of trusting Him for bread, trusting Him for milk, but the trusting in bread and milk will eventually come to trusting Him for millions for the kingdom.
Yes.
So start somewhere. Don't go for the big stuff immediately. Just search your heart before the Father as you dwell in His presence, and hear His heartbeat for your life, and ask Him, Lord, what do I need to give up piece by piece? So we'll see you next week.